Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your corner here at the Four Corner Society. I am your host, Ben, and we are going to be continuing our spell tier list videos. And today we have Scoundrel, the class in Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. I'll kind of preface the overview of what the Scoundrel class does. And the reason why we're doing this is Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out. Lorien Studios created Divinity Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2, and now they're creating Baldur's Gate 3. It's fully releasing on August 3rd, which is in a couple days. I plan to make a lot of content related to that because I absolutely love Lorien Studios. And the overview of Scoundrel is this, in my opinion, is the most mobile, extensive class in the game. It requires a high level of knowledge as far as positioning is concerned. But if you can learn that and if you can take advantage of their extremely mobile skills, you'll be able to love having a rogue or a scoundrel on your team. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the video or into the tier list. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down in this comment section below if you agree with my list, if you disagree, if you want to input anything. I would love to hear that and have a discussion with you guys. And also subscribe so we can continue making more of this content as well. So thank you guys for that. So without further ado, we're going to hop right into this, starting with the Adrenaline skill. This is the Adrenaline skill right here. And I will read it and it will show up on the screen for you guys so that way you can follow along with me. So borrow action points from your next turn. You'll have less action points to spend on your next turn. I actually find this specific skill S tier. It has so many uses, and the reason why it has so many uses is you can take 1 point for all of your characters to just get this novice skill. And what that does is it front loads those action points. So that way you have more action points to be able to take advantage of crowd controlling your opponent. This is by and large, I think, one of the most versatile skills because it works with every single class within Divinity Original Sin, and it is absolutely disgusting. Your next turn, you're not going to have a lot of action points, but that's okay because you've already CC'd the entire enemy encounter, hopefully at least. And this will allow you to also garner the ability to cast your masterwork spell or your master tier spells if you don't have enough already from the start of combat. So highly recommend Adrenaline in all of your builds with any of your characters. It is so powerful. All right, next up, we have the Fast Track spell. Fast Track. This is become hastened for a short while. So I actually think this is an A tier spell. Hasten is really good. It gives you increased action points or recovery action points, and it makes your character faster. I'd actually put this one in the S tier. This is also extremely valuable. You can really use this on any character that you want, really. It works very good with Man-at-Arms characters. If you wanted to like have Man-at-Arms, a couple points in Scoundrel, you can use this to buff their movement speed and get them around the map faster. And you can really use it with any of your characters because it will allow them to regenerate their action points more, meaning the more action points they have, the more stuff that they can do in combat, which is always a good thing. So Fast Track, put that in the S tier as well. A reminder, you get 6 novice spells, 4 adept spells, and 2 master spells. So at the end of this video, I'll put together like a spell bar that I would use for your Scoundrel as you go through your playthrough. Next up, guys, we have the Lacerate spell. This is the spell here. Inflict bleeding does 150% weapon damage or weapon slashing damage. I actually think this is an A tier spell because it does 150%. So if you're doing 100 damage from your actual weapon, you're actually doing 150% damage, and you have the chance of causing bleeding. Throughout the beginning of the game, you don't come across a lot of bleeding enemies. You fight a lot of skeletons, you fight a lot of undead and things like that. So this becomes more of a factor later on in the game when you start fighting spiders, when you start fighting, goblins, you name it. That's kind of where this comes from. The fact that it gives you the 50% extra damage, highly, highly good. And then bleeding also is a great effect to put on somebody. Next up, we have the Precise Incision. This is this spell right here. Weaken a target, deals 150% weapon slashing damage. I actually think weaken is stronger than bleeding. So I would put this one ahead of the laceration spell. Weaken does is it lowers the target's damage by 50% and strength by -2. So obviously it's like soft CC in a sense where if someone's going to be doing 100 damage to you, they're now doing 50 damage to you. So it's a big debuff. Lets your kind of tank be able to tank a little bit more, or maybe if the enemy you're like highly damaged, or maybe you're like super squishy mage is out in the open because the fight started off weird or you weren't inspecting it, then this will allow them to potentially survive a round, which is really good too. So precise incision is a great spell to have. Next up is trip. Trip, knock down a target, deals XY crushing damage. So in my opinion, when you're playing the Scoundrel, you don't necessarily care about crowd control. What you really care about is doing damage. It's kind of like the marksman where your job is to kill the opponents. It's not to do anything else. It is nice to have as a utility because the Scoundrel comes with a ton of spells as far as novice is concerned. So there is utility in this to say, hey, maybe your character who typically knocks somebody down missed their knockdown, you can try again with the Scoundrel. So there is applicability with that. But overall, you don't necessarily want to be using CC on your Scoundrel character. You want to try to kill the opponent with your Scoundrel character. And it doesn't deal a lot of damage, so I would actually put this in the B tier. And it has a very small range, so you have to be right up next to him, which is not super bad because you have a ton of mobility spells to help you do that. Next up, we have the Venomous Strike. This is the Venomous Strike spell right here. Poison your target, deals 100% weapon piercing damage. Because poison and bleeding, in my opinion, are fairly similar status effects, I would actually put this in the C tier. It allows you to get some more damage off and to poison an enemy. I would rather run Lacerate or the Weaken one, or Precise Incision one over Poisoning Strike. So maybe this is where you'll start to determine like, hey, I wanna add this. I don't want to add this into my spell bar. Next up, you have the Walk in Shadows. This spell here, become one with the shadows. What that means is 100% base chance to cause status effect invisible for 5 turns. So 5 turns is actually really cool. This has a ton of applicability in social interaction, and it actually has some pretty good usability in the combat too, because your Scoundrel, you don't want them to be attacked. So you can use invisibility and then run around and get behind an enemy, because the way the Scoundrel works is you get critical strikes automatically if you attack an enemy from the behind. So you just cast invisibility and it lasts 5 turns, which is super long, and then you just run behind somebody and you can just like position yourself extremely well even if you get caught off guard, and it works really good socially. So because of that, I'm putting it in the S tier because of the social ability as well as the great combat effects as well. Next up, and then this is the last one for novice. This is the Winged Feet. Winged Feet ability. Make yourself immune to surfaces as if you were floating above. 100% base chance to cause status effect Winged Feet for 5 turns. This is a B tier spell. It has some uses in combat, but I wouldn't really say you would want to take it in combat because you have other spells that just kind of teleport you around the entire, scenario, and you'll be fine doing it that way. I'd say this has more applicability in social interactions, so I would put it in the B tier. The fact that you can kind of walk over lava or walk over, poison or wherever it is on the map, that makes it easier to get through certain puzzles and stuff in the game that can be really annoying if you don't have it. So I'd go ahead and put that here. So that is the novice spells. We're going to go right into the adept spells. And remember, you only get 4 of these. Next up on the list is Become Air. Only take half of all physical damage dealt to you. So that is a great kind of get out of jail free card. Only take half of all physical damage dealt to you. It doesn't do anything with, magic damage. So if they have like fire, wind, earth, or air, that might be something that you would be like, or water, not air. Wind and air is the same thing. I would put this in the C tier because this is like being reactive, and if you know me when I'm playing these games, you want to be proactive. You want to be the one setting the tone in the fight. So having to take this to like, oh, I'm gonna have my damage. I would rather just not cast this at all. So I'd put that one in the C tier. Next up, guys, this is where the Scoundrel gets really good. You got the Cloak and Dagger, jump to target location, leaving behind a smoke screen. S tier. And Scoundrel will have a lot of S tier spells because it's a very great class. It's super fun to play and it has a lot of fun social interactions as well. As you can play if you like role playing certain styles. Your Scoundrel can be really good at picking locks, which is a very useful feature socially. Also, unlocking doors, things like that, or finding things with a high perception skill. Definitely, like that's where the Scoundrel is really fun to play with as well if you're into role playing. But this one, the fact that you can jump to a location or jump from a location, kind of engage or disengage at your leisure, and it also leaves behind a smoke screen. Say you're coming into an encounter with a ton of enemies, you can go ahead, leave a smoke screen, make their visibility you know unable to see from far. So if they have a lot of ranged units, they have to run through whatever you have, the trap you set up for them. So I think this is a cool one too, but definitely S tier. Would want to run it like all the time when it comes to your character. Next up is the Daggers Drawn. Daggers Drawn. Erupt with a barrage of stabs and cuts and deal 70% piercing weapon damage on each strike. So with this one, this also applies the the abilities that you potentially have. So a lot of the daggers in the game have like 20% chance to set petrified or 15% chance to set knockdown. So this is a cool spell or a cool attack because it allows you to like try multiple times on a single turn to make that happen. But the fact that it does 70% piercing damage for each strike, I don't really think it's super great. I just put it in the B tier. It's not my favorite overall. Next up is the Eye Gouge. Here's Eye Gouge right here. Blinds a target, deals 100% weapon piercing damage. Blind is, in my opinion, it's considered soft CC because they can still attack you, but the way the AI works, it's treated as if it's hard CC. So like their turn becomes completely negligible if you blind the target. So because of that, this is A tier. It would be S tier if it was 150% weapon damage, but because it's not, it's at 100% weapon damage. So I would put that there. Let's see. Wind Up Toy. This is a unique ability right here. Wind Up Toy. Summon a level X bomb in a 3-meter radius for 30 seconds. And then you get to control this specific bomb and blow somebody up. I really don't find it super useful. I would rather just spend an ability to like CC a target or teleport around. And if it rains, like say if you run with a Hydrosophist or you have like any type of water combination with air, this fuse will go out and you won't be able to like blow up the actual guy because it's wet. So I'd put it in the D tier. I don't really like it that much. That's adept spells. Next up, we have the master spells. You can only pick 2 of these. We'll start with Coup de Grace. Deal the killing blow to a target that's below 20% vitality. This is great. S tier. The fact that you can instantly kill an enemy if it's below 20%. So if they have 100 health and they're at 20 and it's right there, you can get them out of the fight right there. I absolutely love this spell. Next up, Crawling Infestation. Plant a monstrous egg in a nearby target. Now, 95% base chance to cause status effect Crawling Infestation for 3 turns. All right, unless the target resists or succeeds a saving throw using Constitution, its mortal shell will give away to a monster as it comes out after 3 turns. I'll be honest, I've never actually used this spell in particular. It sounds really freaking cool, though. I think it might not be your favorite. coming up on the next spell up on this list. But I would put the fact that it takes 3 turns. I'll just kind of use my knowledge on combat systems and divinity. The fact that it takes 3 turns for a creature to be born from another creature actually sucks. You can kill an encounter in 3 turns. Like, you can be done with the whole encounter in 3 turns. Like, this potentially becomes useless. I can see it being used if there's like a massive encounter. You just use it on one guy, maybe CC that one guy, and then wait 3 turns for him to blow up and a monster comes out. But other than that, I don't really see the quick impact that you want from the Scoundrel to remove somebody immediately. So just with that specific knowledge, I just keep it at a C tier. And I would keep it at a C tier because it could have potential to be super fun to use. And then next up, guys, this is the last spell, Shadow Step. Boom, right here. Step through the shadows and attack a target from behind, dealing 100% weapon piercing damage. Then go back to where you came from. This is an S tier spell. Simply the fact that you can teleport behind a target, automatically get critical strike damage, and then remove yourself from the engagement and be safe where you were before. I mean, that's a no-brainer, guys. That's a no-brainer. Very valuable spell. So, this is the tier list here, guys. We have all of our S spells, A, B, C, and D. And then we're going to go and I'm actually going to reset this and tell you guys what I would pick for a standard, like my Scoundrel, what I would have on his spell bar. As a reminder, thank you guys so much for watching this far. Please like the video, go to the comment section, agree or disagree and discuss with me. It does not hurt my feelings at all. I was in the Marine Corps, so definitely have some strong skin behind myself. And then subscribe to the channel if you really like what I'm saying. So we'll start off first. You get 6 novice spells. So let's see. We got Adrenaline. Definitely want Adrenaline up there. It's super great. Fast Track. Definitely want Fast Track up in there. Lacerate. This is the one that has 150% weapon damage and inflicts bleeding. I'd put that one up there. Precise Incision. Weaken target. Definitely would like that one. So that's 4. We can pick 2 more, guys. You have the Trip, which is the knockdown. You have Venomous Strike, which is poison. The Walk in Shadows, which is invisibility. I definitely want Walk in Shadows. And then you have Winged Feet. Make yourself immune to surfaces as if you were floating above. So we got one more. So here's all the ones. Let's see. Winged Feet. You have your Poison Strike and your Knockdown. So out of these ones, I would probably go with a Knockdown and leave these 2 ones. And you could, because the cool thing about the map that you have, you can just keep buying the spells and like forget them, learn the other one, do what it needs to do, and then forget that one and learn the spell back. That's something that you can do, so you don't have to be limited to this. But most of all, like most of the time, this spell will probably come more beneficial than the other spells on this list. So that's your novice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what we would run there. Next up, we got Adept. So first up, Become Air. This is the one where you get have the 50% damage. I wouldn't do that. Cloak and Dagger. Let's run that one. Daggers Drawn. This is the one where you attack multiple times. Eye Gouge. Definitely would run Eye Gouge. Wind Up Toy would not do that. So let's do this one and then Become Air. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, because you only have 5 of them. And then your master tier spells, you would use Coup de Grace and you would use Shadow Step. It's so good. So very good. And then you just would not use these spells. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday, because I know I am. And I will see you guys on the next video. Like and subscribe. Peace.